The doll arrived on a Tuesday. I remember that because Tuesdays are the days my daughter stays with her mother. The house is quieter then, too quiet sometimes. You notice things you usually don't. Small sounds, small changes. The doll was sitting upright on the living room couch when I got home from work. It wasn't slumped or tipped over. It wasn't half hidden between cushions. It sat straight, hands folded in its lap, facing the front door like it had been placed there deliberately. I stood in the doorway for a full minute before stepping inside. My first thought wasn't fear. It was irritation. I assumed my daughter had left it behind again. She was 6, and she carried things everywhere. Stuffed animals, plastic figures, cheap toys she'd insist were important. I told her not to leave things when she went back to her mom's, but kids forget. Still, something about the doll felt wrong. It wasn't big, normal-sized. Porcelain face, glassy eyes that reflected light too clearly. Pale dress, faded like it had been washed too many times. No cracks, no dirt, no smell of attic or old boxes. I picked it up. It was heavier than I expected. Not heavy enough to alarm me, just enough that my brain paused for half a second longer than usual. I set it on the kitchen counter and texted my ex. Did she leave her doll here? No reply. I left it there while I made dinner. I tried not to look at it, but I kept noticing it anyway. The way its head tilted slightly forward. The way its eyes seemed to catch light, no matter where I stood. That night, I put it in the hall closet. I didn't tell myself why. I just didn't want it in the room with me. Around midnight, I woke up thirsty. The house was dark, except for the faint glow of the microwave clock. As I walked past the closet, I heard something soft, not a voice, more like breath. I stopped. The sound didn't repeat. I told myself it was the house settling. Old buildings make noises at night. Everyone knows that. I went back to bed. I didn't open the closet. The next morning, the doll was on the kitchen table, centered, facing my chair. I stood there longer than I should have. Keys still in my hand, heart beating just a little faster than normal. I checked the front door, still locked, windows untouched. No sign anyone had been inside. I moved the doll back to the closet before leaving for work. This time, I shut the door harder than necessary. When I got home that evening, the doll was gone. Relief hit first. Real, physical relief. I even laughed a little, embarrassed with myself for how tense I'd been. Then I heard it, a faint sound from the hallway. I followed it slowly, every step careful, like the house itself was listening. The doll stood outside my bedroom door, not leaning against it, not fallen over, standing. Its feet were flat on the carpet, balanced, facing the door like it was waiting. I don't remember picking it up. I only remember opening the front door and throwing it onto the porch. The sound it made when it hit the wood wasn't what I expected. Not a crack, not a shatter, just a dull thump. I locked the door, checked the locks twice, sat on the couch until My hands stopped shaking. That night, I slept with the bedroom door locked. Sometime after 3 a.m., I woke up to whispering. Not words, just sound. Soft, repetitive, patient. It was coming from the hallway. I stayed still, didn't breathe deeper, didn't move my hands. The whispering stopped. Then something touched the door. I didn't sleep after that. When the sun came up, I opened the bedroom door slowly. The hallway was empty. The front door was still locked. The doll was sitting at the end of the hall, facing my bedroom. I didn't throw it out again. I put it in the trunk of my car and drove it to a donation center across town. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't look at it when I dropped it off. I just set it on the counter and left. That night, my daughter came over. She hugged me tight when she arrived, harder than usual. "Daddy," she said quietly, "where's my doll?" I asked her what she meant. She looked at the hallway, then the closet, then back at me, the one that talks when I'm gone. My phone buzzed, a text from my ex. "I thought you had it. She won't sleep without it." I didn't answer. That night, my daughter slept in her room with the door closed. Around midnight, I heard whispering again. This time, it was clearer, closer. It was coming from her room. I stood outside my daughter's door for a long time before opening it. She was asleep, peaceful, breathing slow. The doll sat on the floor beside her bed. Its head was turned toward her. Its mouth was open slightly. I didn't touch it. I backed out of the room and shut the door. The whispering followed me down the hall. It didn't stop when I reached my bedroom. It stopped when I locked the door. In the morning, the doll was gone. So was my daughter. There were no signs of a struggle. No open doors. No broken windows. Just one thing left behind. The doll's dress, folded neatly on her bed. The whispering still happens some nights. Only when the house is quiet. Only when I'm alone. It sounds like practicing, like learning how to sound like her. They never found her. Weeks passed, then months. The police stopped calling as often. Friends stopped asking questions they didn't want answers to. The house stayed quiet in a way that felt intentional. I didn't move. I stayed because the whispering stayed. It happened less often now. Sometimes days would pass without it. Sometimes weeks. Just long enough for me to believe it was finally gone. Then, late at night, when the house felt settled, it would start again. Always from the hallway, always soft. Sometimes it sounded like breathing. Sometimes like someone mouthing words without sound. Sometimes like my daughter, repeating the same sentence over and over, trying to remember how it went. I stopped sleeping with my bedroom door open. I stopped answering the phone at night. I started hearing it during the day. Not clearly, just enough to make me pause mid-step. Enough to make me turn my head, expecting to see something standing just outside my peripheral vision. Once, I found small scuff marks on the carpet outside my room. Short, careful, as if something had been standing there a long time, shifting its weight. I didn't call the police again. I didn't tell anyone because part of me understood something I didn't want to admit. The doll wasn't hiding anymore. It was waiting. Last night, I heard my daughter's voice clearly for the first time. She called my name, not from the hallway, from inside my bedroom. I didn't move. I stared at the ceiling and listened as the sound repeated too slow, too careful between syllables, like someone practicing how to speak through a mouth that wasn't made for it. Something sat down on the edge of my bed. The mattress dipped, a small weight. Balanced. Familiar. I kept my eyes closed. I remembered the way the doll always faced the door, the way it waited, the way it never spoke when someone was watching. The whispering stopped. I felt breath against my ear. Then a voice, quiet and proud, finally getting it right. Daddy, I haven't opened my eyes yet. I don't know if it learned how to sound like her, or if it finally learned how to be me.